guys. I have a question. What do you do when your government and the people that are supposedly elected are against your best interest? For you to think about that. And I'd also like for you to think while you're eating dinner or while you're watching this, to think about how other countries view us right now. Now, let's say what they're saying in the media, or what they're lying about in the media, saying that China's against us, or anything else. Other countries being against us, looking to start war. Now, think about this. There are immigrants right now saying that the terrorists have nothing to do with us. Those are just radical people, and our government is crazy. We're just normal working class people. Well, now flip that script. Here in America, we're also just working class people. We also hate our government. And what would happen if China or somebody else, some other country, pointed the missiles this way and blew us up? We're innocent. Our government is acting for the best interest on behalf of its citizens. And they're not. So we can't call Iran, we can't call China, we cannot call Afghanistan or any of these places who terribly hate the United States and want nothing more for it to be annihilated off the global map. We cannot communicate to them. We have no voice, just the same way the people who are blacklisted right now from coming to this country have no voice. It's not their fault. It's the government's fault. So what is it that we can do? How do we change the situation when the government is against us? Well, I challenge you to look back into your memories and in your history books and think about what happened in the good old days when America was just founded and the government had just been structured and formulated for, the East Coast of America at that time. People revolted. People started a revolution. They banded together, devised a plan, and fought against the government until it was equal. Until the government worked with the people and the people worked with the government, once again, in both common interests. Now, here's the crazy thing. We cannot start an upheaval unless everybody joins together for the greater good and stops thinking about our racial, ethical, religious, personal beliefs. Throw this shit away. And if we do that, then we can get our country back. We can get the United States back. But right now, we cannot. And if you also recall on how many presidents have stopped and tried to stop and continue to try to stop normal citizens, legal, sane citizens, from purchasing firearms, whether it be a handgun or an AR-15 or any other guns out there in the world, rifles, hunting rifles, 22 rifles, anything to keep your mind. I'm not being specific because I'm not crazy. I'm just trying to outline something. Now it's made it almost impossible to legally own a firearm, and if you should and can, you're limited to the amount of ammunition you're allowed to buy at a certain time per month. Doesn't that tell you something? Doesn't it tell you that the government knows that we're capable of doing this, and they want to limit our ability to defend ourselves against them, not the enemy, not the terrorists, them. And they've been successful with doing so. Our closest ally, if we want to get our arms back, is the NRA. And they're pretty determined on making sure U.S. citizens, legal citizens, have a right to have at least one rifle or one sort of gun or weapon. And I think that's important into protecting us. Now, the second thing I want to get into tonight is how crazy of a world we're living in when the government is pointing fingers for us, not with us, but for us, and saying that's a terrorist, that country's a terrorist, that country's a terrorist. Oh, that person? Yeah, that person's a terrorist because he looks like that. Oh, he spoke about certain weapons? That person's a terrorist. And the government is just pointing fingers. Let me recall back to Germany and how they started pointing fingers at people and how that ended up. Now, War is America's #1 business. Government appointed contractors make millions and billions of dollars. And if you don't believe me, wait till Trump starts building this wall and see how much those contractors are getting paid per day, per hour, per month. It doesn't matter. I guarantee each person walks away from that deal for at least $150,000, if not more, just by being a government appointed contractor or being a contractor and saying, "Hey, I can do this with you guys," and you get your little stipend, and that's about it. But they're keeping us in fear. They're saying there's terrorists all around us, inside the United States, outside the United States, and we need to protect ourselves. Outside of making money off the war effort, they're keeping us in fear on purpose. They're saying, don't go outside, don't do this, look at the terrorist act there and there and there and here. They're trying to keep you in fear without weapons inside of your house. So when shit really hits the fan and they do start martial law, guess what? We'll have no place to go. We'll be stuck inside of a little dwelling, and should we try to make a move, we'd probably get shot on sight. That's how dictatorship works. That's how Hitler worked. That's how Nazi Germany came to be. It took away everybody's weapons and left them to die defenseless. This, if you look at all the pieces of this puzzle and you add them together, this is exactly what is happening right now. You want to rid the United States off of immigrants and keep who here? And now it's not we're protecting ourselves from the outside. They're locking the gates and borders to keep us in the United States, keep us inside, not keep those people outside. What happens if you try to leave? They say, oh, well, no, that country's our enemy, that country's our enemy, you can't go there, you can't go there, and if you do go, you're not coming back. Almost like a form of exile. So they're trying to contain us here in the United States. Don't think those military exercises like 2 or 3 years ago that made news everywhere were just a joke. They were meant to conquer the urban frontier, meaning buildings like skyscrapers and everything else. Because if they say that, oh yeah, that military exercise was just about conquering, Iraq and Iran and other countries, guess what? They didn't have no fucking skyscrapers. They didn't have no fucking buildings. They built little huts out of fucking brick and sand. That's all they had. There was no urbanism in any of those countries because the shit got blown up by the United States to begin with. So what were they really training? What were the military actually doing out there? They were preparing themselves and special forces on how they would act and interact with people when shit hit the fan and martial law was instated. When martial law is instated, even local police and everything else, local government, police, state troopers, all of them are now nobody. They are citizens like me and you. Martial law supersedes local law and anything that they say. So basically, it's the soldier's word against us. With no defense. Again, with no defense, like I like to say. If this should happen, we're all fucked. We can't leave the country. We have no allies. That's the other thing I wanted to say is that who the fuck is going to come to the rescue of the United States now? All the countries from the northern regions of Africa to the, eastern regions of the Chinas, the Eurasias, hate us. India hates us. China hates us. Japan hates us. All those countries there hate us. Russia hates us. This is the known fact. Australia doesn't really count because they're like, yeah, we see all this craziness. We're not doing nothing about it. All the African countries and satellites of Africa are all Muslim people. And I'm not going to say anything bad about the Muslim people. I don't know enough of what their agenda is to sit here and generalize with everybody else and say that they're all terrorists. Maybe they're not terrorists. Maybe they're lying. Whatever. But guess what? We have no more allies. If World War III started tomorrow, first of all, we'd be all fucked. The only thing would be left is this video, probably in some satellite database or in like Google headquarters where it's all blocked off and protected from radiation, and that would be the only thing that is left. But if World War III would slowly kind of escalate like it did in World War II and World War I, we have no allies. It'd be United States versus the world. take a second and think about that. Canada is like, fuck you. You refuse refugees, we'll take them. Mexico's like, fuck you, you're building a wall. South America doesn't want nothing to do with Northern Hemisphere anyway. Africa, China, India, all the Iran, Sudan, and everything else, they are not our friends. Russia's not our friend. So what do you have left? You have Europe. Spain is impartial. Spain doesn't want to get into anybody's beef or bullshit. Maybe we'll have France and England and Britain, but that's such a tiny part of the world. Like, they don't even have a substantial army. And we do have a substantial army in the United States, but guess what? They're fucked off around the world, and we're not together as one army. We're spread out throughout the world in military bases all over the world, so we can't come together as one union and go to a war front. It would never happen. It would be impossible. And yeah, maybe we'll have 3 other countries from Europe that have our backs, and they probably won't even have our backs now because it would be in the worst interest for them to align themselves with the United States. So you'll have everybody's gun pointed here, and here you have your presidents and your congressmen and your police and everybody else trying to sit here on the news and pretend everything's okay and talk about the Super Bowl and talk about how great things are in unemployment. They're keeping a veil over your head. They're keeping a mask all over your face, blinding you and just letting you hear music. You don't have no clue of what's going on in the world right now. You don't know how high the tensions are between the other countries. Nobody's going to tell you that. Nobody's going to tell me and you, the citizens of the United States, what's actually going on. We're fucked. Like I said, Anonymous, as a group, we have said that this year is the year when the revolution will begin, and it seems like it's coming sooner before it's coming later, because there are plenty of us. There are people who want to live in this country peacefully and survive and raise our children without having to worry about bunkers in our backyards or fucking fallout shelters. We will rise up against these people. We will get our country back. We will never forgive. We will never forget.